Hawaii is a beautiful place, we all know that. But you might not be as familiar with some of their man-made marvels. So let's check out the stadiums and arenas of Hawaii, USA. We start off at War Memorial Stadium, which might seem a bit obscure. You know, it's not home to any major team. But it did actually host the Hula Bowl for nearly a decade. That moved to a stadium in Honolulu, but is now held in Orlando for reasons we'll get to later on. The Hula Bowl is the reason that this stadium is as large as it is. Prior to the push for this city to host the event by the mayor or whatever, it had a capacity of just 7,000. It can now hold over 3 times that. So it's currently one of the largest high school football stadiums in the US, without the demand for such a large capacity anymore. That's probably why it doesn't appear to be in tip-top condition. It's quite a strange layout as well, come to think of it. And now to Honolulu, where we have Stan Sheriff Center, which is the largest indoor sports venue in the state. College basketball and volleyball is its main purpose, but it does often host NBA preseason games. The design is nothing out of this world. It's a big old dome, and beneath that dome is a big old bowl. But the amenities are pretty good. It has a rather large center hung video board, and bucket seats throughout. It's looking good. One interesting tidbit about this venue's history is that a few years after opening, it hosted the Miss Universe pageant. Now I know what you're thinking, who cares? Well, it was actually the first and only time that a non-Earth resident won the contest. She hailed from the Andromeda Galaxy, and her name was... Have I got that right? Oh no, her name is Carol, my bad. Aloha Stadium was the previous home of both the Hula Bowl and the Hawaii Rainbow Warriors, who are by far the biggest college football team in the state. It's a venue with a bit of a strange history and indeed design. It was not just built to accommodate college football, but minor league baseball as well. It had movable stands that could completely transform the stadium from one layout to another. The baseball team lasted little more than a decade, so eventually the stadium was permanently locked into this football configuration. To be honest, it probably would have locked itself in that configuration anyway, due to the sheer amount of rust throughout the place. The stadium was actually closed in 2020 due to the poor condition of the building. It wasn't just the rust, but all the amenities were aging, so they decided that it needed to be demolished. As of today, it's still standing. However, it is set to be demolished within the next 1 or 2 years, and a new Aloha Stadium may or may not be built in its place. I don't believe they've chosen a design or anything yet. For now, the Rainbow Warriors play at Clarence Ching Athletics Complex. These shots are from a few years ago, when this place hosted track and field and soccer, I believe. However, when the football team moved in, it was upgraded significantly, as you can see. Just this year it was expanded further. Undoubtedly the stadium has improved greatly, but they got rid of the rainbow running track for some reason. That was a very distinctive feature. They replaced it with a green one. But the most recent expansion was built over the new track, so the track athletes have had to say aloha to this stadium and aloha to a new venue. They had no choice. The football players easily overpowered the long distance runners, and their helmets and shoulder pads protected them from the javelins and shot puts being thrown from afar. Speaking of rainbows, this ballpark was initially known as Rainbow Stadium. It was changed to Les Murakami Stadium in 2001. Les Murakami was the school's first full-time baseball coach, and I believe he was instrumental in getting this place built. A capacity of just over 4,000 may seem small, but by college baseball standards, it isn't really. It's actually not all that common to see a proper double-decker grandstand at the college ballpark, as is the case here. I do always prefer a ballpark to have real grass, but, you know, I don't blame them. It's not like Hawaii has a warm, humid climate with fertile volcanic soil or anything. How could you expect anything to grow here? Block Arena was built in 1941 for use by the US fleet stationed at Pearl Harbor. A reminder that the infamous attack on Pearl Harbor happened that same year. just a few months after this place was built. The design doesn't seem to have evolved too far beyond 1940s technology. There's bench seating throughout, no video boards or anything, there are pillars supporting the roof, and obstructing some spectators' view. But that is to be expected. One upgrade that the venue has undertaken is colorization, because of course it was built in black and white, 1940s technology as I said. Blaisdell Arena is part of a greater complex called Neil Blaisdell Center. Interestingly, it was the site of the first ever live performance by the Monkees, who, if you don't know, were basically the Jonas Brothers of the 60s. I find it weird that their two biggest hits had the word believer in the title. Were they trying to hypnotize people into believing they played their own instruments or something? Anyway, judging from the pictures we've seen, it's still music that dominates the calendar at this place. There are no professional sports teams that call this place home. Are there any professional sports teams that call Hawaii home? Don't think so. I thought I should include Francis Wong Stadium, as it's the largest stadium on the island of Hawaii, or the Big Island as it's known. You'll never guess why they call it that. The Big Island's largest stadium is rather small. It's built for baseball first and foremost, as you may have assumed, but occasionally a football team will end up at the Wong Stadium. It's not the wrong stadium though, because Wong Stadium regularly hosts football as well. And those were the stadiums of Hawaii. My favourite of the lot is probably... but I'm gonna go with Stan Sheriff Center, despite the fact that spectators don't get a scenic Hawaiian backdrop. Thanks for watching, have a good one.